Hello, my name is Anna, and I love trying vintage recipes. So today, I'm trying 3 party snacks from the 1970s. Today's recipes come to us from Collector's Corner of Favorite Lipton Recipes. We're gonna talk about this book more a little bit later. At the time of this publishing, which was in the 1970s, Lipton had more than multiple brands of things. So yes, we're gonna do a Lipton recipe, but we're gonna check out a couple of other things in here as well. And you know I love a party snack. Party food, if you ask me what is my favorite food, I'm gonna say party food or party leftovers. Those are especially good too. And why not? Why not plan a party menu? You can make anything into a party if you really try hard enough. We are kicking off this little party menu with an absolute classic, and that is Lipton California Dip. You may just know this one as onion dip. That's what I always called it before I learned that it had an actual name. That was when I started acquiring a couple of Lipton soup cookbooks for my collection. This is the original Lipton California Dip. And it's what I like to call barely a recipe. It has only 2 ingredients, and that is Lipton onion soup mix and 2 cups of sour cream. So let's get to it. I did get my hand mixer out. You probably don't need one. I was feeling a little fancy this morning. And I thought, oh, it'll blend things really well. Also, I accidentally grabbed light sour cream at the store, so there's that. I think it's still gonna taste pretty good though. So this is 2 cups of sour cream into a bowl. And 1 envelope of Lipton onion soup mix, or just store brand onion soup mix. Whatever you like to use. Ah yes, that very savory oniony smell, wow. Nostalgia. Okay, we're gonna mix. That's it. That is it. So I'm gonna scrape the bowl first, just to make sure I did get everything. Get in under there, make sure there's no dry mix kind of hanging out in the bottom. Yeah, no, that's it. That was very fast. Now you do need to let this chill, of course. It doesn't say how long, it just says chill. But I find that several hours for a dip like this, if you're mixing a dry mix or dry herbs into sour cream, it just gets better with a little bit of time. I'm gonna go at least 2 hours, possibly more. That's why I wanted to start with this recipe, because I know that it will be a lot better after some serious chill time. So I am gonna cover this up, and I'm just gonna let this hang out in my refrigerator. Okay, I've got my California dip here. I refrigerated this for, I'm gonna say 3 to 3.5 hours, and the texture seems about right. You know, you want everything to kind of incorporate and get to know each other. You want those onions, the dehydrated onions, to soften a little bit. Seems like that's probably, a minimum of what I would do, is maybe 3-ish hours. Overnight's even better. You can serve this with vegetables, but who are we kidding? This is meant to be served with salty potato chips. So that's what I'm gonna do. I put some green onions on the top just to indicate that this is indeed an onion dip. Okay. Why is that so good? I don't know. It just is. Yeah, very savory, salty, very easy to make too. Not a lot to it, right? That's what you think of when you think of a chip dip. Next up, I have some Zippy deviled eggs. And there's one ingredient here that did present a bit of an issue, and that's this wishbone California onion dressing. And the issue is that this dressing has been discontinued. It is no longer in the Wishbone product lineup, at least not in the United States. Sometimes products are still produced elsewhere and I don't really have access to them, but I was unable to find it. So I had to do a little bit of internet sleuthing. There were several recipes out there for this dressing, but I didn't really want to make it from scratch just to put in another recipe in this case. But I did manage to find a substitute, and people were saying this Ken's Steakhouse Sweet Vidalia onion dressing was pretty similar. They were saying that, but I kind of wanted a visual to make sure that at least it looked the same. It wasn't like a vinaigrette dressing, that it was in fact like a creamy dressing that I was trying to replicate here. Luckily, I found this image on eBay of a Wishbone salad dressing ad, and to me, this image looks a lot like this dressing. So I think we're on the right track here. And I am going to be cutting this recipe in half. I don't want to make too many deviled eggs. There's just 2 of us in the house. And also this is a new deviled egg recipe to me. I feel like especially when you're experimenting with something like this, It's fine to make a small number of deviled eggs. Maybe you just want to have a few for yourself. Go for it. I'm giving you permission. Okay, so you got to hard cook your eggs. I hard cooked 3 eggs since I'm cutting the recipe in half. Look at those yolks. Look at those yolks. They're so beautiful. I have gone over the method I use many times. So I'm not gonna film it or show it here again today. I'm gonna just link in the description down below what I do. But I think you should do the way, make them the way that you like to make them, okay? My way is a way, it is not the way. That's one of my favorite sayings. So use the way that works for you. This is what works for me. I'm gonna mash up my egg yolks in my little teeny tiny food processor because I do want the egg yolk part to be smooth. There's like a chunkier ingredient in here that I think I'm going to mix in after I've blended the egg yolks. But I want the yolks themselves to be pretty smooth. Oh yeah, you can do this too. You don't need I don't know why I grabbed a spoon. They just fall right out. I don't know why I do some of the things I do sometimes. All right, so I'm gonna blend in my California onion dressing. That's actually sweet Vidalia onion dressing. I have a couple tablespoons here. I did take a little taste of this and it is in fact sweet. So I think these are gonna be kind of like new and interesting, Yes, there's gonna be a sweet component to them, but then we have, mustard, which is pretty common in deviled eggs, and then olives. So tangy, briny olives. I'm very interested to see how these turn out. Mustard, I didn't even measure it because it's like the full recipe is only 1/4 teaspoon of prepared mustard in it. I'm putting in like literally maybe just like a tiny bit more, not a lot. I'm gonna hold off on this, but I have a tablespoon of chopped olives. I'm gonna mix that in afterward, I think. And I need a dash of pepper. I don't see any salt. No salt. Okay, well, we're gonna not add the salt. It doesn't need it. We'll see, maybe it does. All right, I'm gonna blend this up. All right, so I've got my yolk mixture here, pretty smooth. You could just mash this with a fork if you want. Some people also like to push the yolks through like a mesh sieve too. It just depends on what you like to do and what texture you enjoy. So now here I have 1 tablespoon of finely chopped green stuffed olives. Actually, this was 1 olive because I have those gigantic, like jumbo green olives. And I made sure those pieces were kind of small, Usually, if I'm having a deviled egg, my favorite kind is pretty smooth. So this is a little bit of a departure for me, but I really do love olives. So I think this could be really good. Yeah, we're just gonna mix it in like that. I thought, why not try a different textural element? Why not? I've got my egg halves here, and I need to get my little bitty egg plate. I love this plate because it only holds 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. It holds 10 eggs, so I have another egg plate that holds a smaller number, but it also holds vegetables as well. You've probably seen this very egg plate all over thrift stores. You don't have to buy a brand new deviled egg plate because they're just all over your local thrift shops and whatever antique stores, things like that. They're all over the place. I don't think I'm gonna pipe this. I think I'm just gonna try to spoon it, mostly because of the pieces in there. I'm afraid they'd kind of get stuck in a piping bag. Also, I'm gonna garnish these with some big slices of olive. So, doesn't really matter what the piped part looks like. I also have a very, very small cookie scoop and I was like, maybe I'll use that. I don't hate it. What way? I actually do have my board over here with the sliced olives. Maybe I'll get those. Okay, we're gonna decide what we wanna do on the fly because they are very big slices. So I'm kind of holding that over. Let me try half a slice. Let's try half a slice and kind of wedge it in there. I don't know, that could be cute. That could be, that's something, right? I don't know, let's give it a try. Let's just give it a go here. Okay, I kind of enjoy how that looks, so I'm gonna do the rest of these and I will be right back. I think these look so retro and I am very into it. I mean, of course, have you met me? Of course I'm into it. We did a little test run with just a few eggs. I am very glad I decided to garnish with the olives. You're supposed to put paprika on them like you would normally for a more traditional deviled egg. I could see myself doing that. I really like the way the olives look. I gotta decide, I don't know, we'll go with this egg. We'll decide on this egg. Ooh, they're slippery. I need some water. Those are definitely sweeter than what I'm used to. That sweet onion dressing is very sweet. I actually like the texture of the olives. They're not super crunchy. Like an olive, I don't know, it's not soft exactly, but it's not like crunchy, like an onion or a pickle or something. And I do really like that bit of like brininess in there to sort of offset the sweetness. I think these are good. I don't know that I would serve them unless I told whoever I was serving them to that they are different or like they have a sweetness. People have certain expectations of deviled eggs. I think deviled eggs can be very polarizing, especially at like a family function, like a big family dinner. Like someone is in charge of the deviled eggs and they got to bring a lot of them, usually if it's a big group. But I like these, you know, if you're doing something a little different, maybe a smaller number of people and you're just having drinks or something, I would say like make these, but tell them, oh, I tried a new recipe. It's a little on the sweeter side. For me, texturally, I do love the creaminess of like the egg yolks and the more liquid ingredients. And then just that nice, you know, the nice texture of the olive in there. I don't know. If you're looking for a different kind of deviled egg recipe to try, this might be the one. My final party snack is going to be these stuffed mushrooms Italiano. And it looks like the Italiano comes from some Italian dressing or Caesar dressing. I'm using Italian dressing because I had some and some Parmesan cheese. Okay, so mushrooms are one of my favorite foods and I really don't think that I have made that many mushroom-based dishes on this channel. I made a delicious mushroom soup from a Molly Katzen cookbook. It was very memorable. It was one of the best recipes I've ever made on this channel. I will definitely link it. Yeah, there's not like a heavy mushroom focus, which is surprising because I love them so much. This is gonna be pretty simple. I'm cutting the recipe in half and I started with 8 ounces of mushrooms. I took the stems out and chopped them up really fine. So the stems are now in this bowl. So I'm gonna set this aside. I'm preheating my oven to 350 degrees. To this bowl, I'm going to add a half a cup of breadcrumbs. I have a couple of tablespoons of Italian dressing. It said Italian dressing or Caesar dressing. I have a couple of tablespoons of finely grated Parmesan cheese. And it says 1 tablespoon of finely chopped parsley. I don't have fresh parsley right now, so I did about a teaspoon of dry parsley. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix that up, and that's gonna be what's gonna go in these mushrooms. I used to make a copycat recipe of the Olive Garden seafood stuffed mushrooms. Don't laugh, they were delicious. But they have clams in them. And I, later in life, became allergic to shellfish, so now I can't eat them, which is very sad because I liked them a lot. Mixture here is a little bit on the drier side, I would say, but because it has mushroom stems in it, those have a lot of water in them. So I'm gonna have faith here that this is okay. Let me just double check though. Mushrooms, dressing, crumbs, cheese, parsley. There is going to be some water that goes in the bottom of the dish as I bake these. I don't think there's any water. Nope, there's no water in this mixture though. Well, all right then. I'm gonna tidy up a little bit and then we'll be back to fill these mushrooms. I let this sit for just a couple of minutes and it actually did kind of like hydrate a little bit more. I think some of that dressing absorbed into the crumbs really nicely. So now we're gonna fill these things right here. I was thinking I'll do it with a spoon, I guess. I was looking at this mixture and it holds together like that, which I think is gonna work a little bit better. Like if I make sort of a ball of the stuffing and then I use my hands to do it rather than trying to pack that in with a spoon, I just think it's gonna work better. Yeah, look at this. My clean hands that I just washed, I think they're just the right tools for this job. So that's what I'm gonna do, because you don't really wanna leave a lot of space in there. It just makes sense to me. I wanted to make sure this dish was large enough, so that's why I like arranged the mushrooms ahead of time so I would know in what order do these go to make them fit. I didn't buy the big like stuffing mushrooms. I just used, I mean, it was like half the price to buy the regular one. So that's what I did. Save yourself a little money if you don't need them to look like that. Okay, this is my technique. I am like making kind of, I'm squeezing this in my hand in kind of like a long way like this. And then I'm sort of packing the stuffing in there like that. I don't know, that probably wasn't a good explanation. I'll try again. Like this shape, and that fits into the spot in the mushroom, and then I'm sort of patting it down in. I think that's what's working for me, so we're gonna go with it. I might add a little more to a couple of these, just because I think I have room and I still have some stuffing left. Scooch. Scooch in there, make some space. Make some space for each other. Yeah, this one needs more. You're a little skimpy. And these are gonna cook down a little bit too, so we'll see what they look like by the end of all this. All right, I'm gonna clean my hands again. Add water to barely cover bottom of the dish. Okay, so this is not hot water. This is just, I'm adding this from my kettle because it has a nice tiny little pour spout. And that way I'm not like pouring water all over the mushrooms. I can kind of just get in there where I need to be. So you could probably do this with like a measuring cup too. I wouldn't take this, me personally, I wouldn't take this over to the faucet and try to do it because I would just make a mess of it. So you just want a tiny bit. I've never added water like this to a stuffed mushroom recipe, but we'll see. Yeah, there's barely any in there. Okay. So now, what do? We bake these for 20 minutes at 350 degrees. These have a very like mild herby smell to them. I do get a little bit of like almost the vinegar scent of like the Italian dressing as well. So I'm gonna try to get in here and get one. There we go. Yeah, don't put too much water in the bottom of this because these mushrooms do give up their liquid and it produces like a little bit more water even. Not anything to be like, you know, not drowning them or anything. Just don't add too much. All right, so I'm gonna cut this. This is not really a thing you would pick up. Yeah, the other recipes I made, you would definitely be able to like pick that stuff up. I'm actually even gonna cut this into quarters, yeah. Oh, okay, there it is. I was like, at first, I think this needs salt. I think the stuffing does need a little bit of salt. I do get like the Italian dressing flavor, especially like sort of on the back end of like when I was tasting it, I got like bell pepper flavor. You know, there's like red pepper flakes kind of or something in there. And that's what I taste. I didn't add salt to this. It didn't say to. I thought maybe it would need it. I think I'm right. But you know, I didn't add any because of the Parmesan cheese. That can be very salty. Here's what I would do. Garlic salt. It needs garlic. There's like not enough garlic flavor in this for me. I like the texture of the stuffing though. I think that's very nice. So I think this is sort of like a good basic recipe, a really like simple one. I just think it needs to be seasoned just slightly differently. I want these to be garlicky. If you don't like garlic, just use regular salt because they just need like a little pinch of salt or something, but they do taste pretty good. Collector's Corner of Favorite Lipton Recipes was published in the 1970s. And that's what I want to talk about. That's where I want to start because not every cookbook has a copyright date in it. And this one definitely doesn't. I've gotten like reasonably good at dating or generally dating cookbooks just because I've done it for a really long time. And I do it often because of this channel. So this one, you know, automatically did have me thinking 70s. I mean, look at that color scheme. It's orange, it's brown. You know, you look at the inside, more orange and brown, the font style. It's very like mid-ish 70s. And so, you know, that got me thinking like, what else can I use here? Like what other tools do I have to try to date this cookbook? There are no pictures of the food. Part of me would go to like product packaging. Product packaging is so helpful when like in helping you kind of like date things, especially if you have other sources that you can refer back to where you can see like, oh, you know, I see this is the style of packaging and I have another book or I have an ad that I saw online from the past and this is the year of that ad. So I like to do that a lot, but unfortunately this book doesn't have any of that either. But what it does have, this little bit at the end right here, that ended up being very helpful. It says Brisk, Flow Through, Knox, Lipton, and Wishbone are registered trademarks of Thomas J. Lipton, Inc., Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, 07632. I basically just did a search for the other brand names. Actually, I started with Knox and I found what I was looking for pretty much right away. I found a timeline. It said that Knox was acquired by Lipton in 1972. It would have to be after 1972. You know, if you do a little bit of like research using some of the other little bits and pieces that are in your cookbooks, it can really help you figure out like where to place them on a timeline. Maybe that's weird to you, but that's what I like to do, and that's why I'm here. So as I mentioned, the other Lipton brands in this cookbook, besides Lipton, we have Wishbone and we have Knox. Usually if I'm thinking Lipton, I'm thinking tea or soup mix, like the one that I used in one of my recipes. There's really not a lot of illustrations in here. We've got the cover. There's some like introductory images like that, or at the beginning of each chapter, you'll see that kind of thing. Still like very brown and white here. Very, very specific look to these. I like this one too. This is the beverage chapter. But other than that, we don't have any pictures of the food or anything in here. For the recipes today, I decided to focus on the appetizers chapter, mostly because that's one of my favorite types of things, appetizers and party starters. I love party food. I especially love it when you have extra party food and you get to eat the party leftovers. It's like my favorite thing. And you can make anything into a party if you really want to, right? I started with the classic Lipton California Dip. This recipe has been printed on Lipton's packaging since the late 1950s. It's been around for a long time for good reason. I think it's very easy to make. It doesn't take a lot of time. Other than the chill time, you need at least a couple of hours. It tastes good. It tastes good. It's not hard to make. And you can make a lot of it. And it's a crowd pleaser. I mean, it's just the perfect thing to go with potato chips, salty and savory and all of that. I saw a funny story, like coincidentally, recently while I was filming this video. Someone posted about, I'm not trying to make fun of anyone, but they saw another younger creator who discovered this. They wanted to make their own chip dip, so they decided to try mixing the soup mix with the sour cream as if they kind of like invented it themselves. I didn't witness this personally. This is like a secondhand story. And they were like, whoa, I just invented this amazing chip dip. I don't know if that's rage bait or if they genuinely thought that they did that, but I just had to giggle because I was like, this has been around for quite some time. People have eaten it for decades, but everything old is new again, right? There are some nice variations on this dip too. And I think I mentioned, I didn't really know that this was called Lipton California Dip until I started adding some Lipton cookbooks to my collection. I just called it like chip dip or onion dip. But you can see there are other things you can add to this recipe to make it a little different. If you just want the plain dip, or if you want to use that as a starting point, you can add other things to it and change it up. My second recipe was Zippy deviled eggs, and I swear we just don't use the word zippy enough anymore. These were indeed zippy if you think zippy means sweet. These were sweet. But I will say I had some the next day, like the following day after I made them, and the sweetness kind of dies down. It calms itself down a little bit. So if you're gonna serve them the day that you make them, the flavor is gonna be a little bit more intense on the sweetness. If you like that sort of thing, then these are great for you. I thought these were good. I don't know that I would make this like my main go-to deviled egg recipe. My thought was to do like a deviled egg flight. So maybe have a few, I guess if you really like deviled eggs or you want to do a fun thing with your friends, make a few different styles of deviled egg and have like 4 on a plate, 5 on a plate, whatever, and you try each one. And this could be one of them because it is pretty different, I would say, than a traditional deviled egg that I'm used to. The ones that I'm used to are pretty straightforward. You know, they're not sweet, very creamy. I usually go for a smoother yolk mixture. I don't put anything mixed in. I'm pretty plain when it comes to my deviled eggs. But yeah, these were a good variation, a nice change if you want to try something different. I really liked the olives in these too. Like I almost want to serve deviled eggs alongside olives, and come to think of it, growing up, that's kind of what we did, have deviled eggs alongside a relish tray, including olives and vegetables. So that makes a lot of sense to me. My final recipe was stuffed mushrooms Italiano. This needed garlic and salt. That's like up front gonna tell you. These needed to be seasoned a little bit more, but the texture of the stuffing was really nice. I love stuffed mushrooms. I love mushrooms in general. It's like, that's one of my favorite foods. I can't believe that I haven't done more mushroom-based recipes on this channel, because even as a kid growing up, like that was my thing. I love mushrooms. I think these are a very good like starting point. Like if you want a basic stuffing to stuff mushrooms, that maybe like you want something meatless or something like that. I know a lot of stuffed mushroom recipes that have like sausage and stuff in them, but if you want something that doesn't have meat, This is a good starting point. I would just add more seasoning to it. Definitely salt and garlic, maybe some other things, maybe some herbs, like extra herbs if you want to add that kind of flavor. My other thought, of course, is put some cheese on top and then like broil them to brown the cheese just to add a little something extra. Otherwise, you know, these tasted fine, but they were just like a little plain. They were just a little on the plain side. That doesn't make them bad. That just means that you can get really creative with them, right? So that was my little party menu from Collector's Corner of favorite Lipton recipes. So do you have this cookbook in your collection? Have you tried any of the recipes inside? I'd love to hear about that, so please leave me a comment. I'd like to say a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to join us over there, I'll have a link in the description so that you can do that. Don't forget to look out for each other and take care of each other, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.